I was 46 years old and a single mom, and when I moved back to Colorado, and I was about to say yes to anything, almost. Keith was an old friend from back east, and he apparently was on the move too, and he was going to go to California. And he said, I want to stop and come visit you in Colorado, and would you like to hike Conundrum Hot Springs with me? It was mid-October. So now Keith, he and I were friends at, we were kind of part of this yoga community, and he was really good looking and smart and kind of funny, and I had a massive crush on him. But he was 12 years younger than me, and he dated only women who were 10 years younger than him. So this was never going to happen. Anyway, so he shows up, and I said, I'm a little concerned about the altitude sickness you're going to get at 11,000 feet, and that it's October, snow. He said that, he said, you're no fun. And I said, I'm fun. So I grabbed my hiking boots and my old backpack, and I said, let's go. So we headed off, and we drove near Aspen and spent the night at a cabin a couple of miles from the trailhead and watched the weather on TV. And there were these blue-gray kind of massive amount of clouds right above the Maroon Bells Snowmass Wilderness area. And I said to Keith, we tried. And he turns to me and pats my knee. And he says, you worry too much because we're going. Now that is the stupidest, most arrogant thing I have ever heard. And I'm not going. But he was going to go without me, with or without me. And I thought, I can't let him go alone. So, but I don't know how much help I would be to him. But anyway, we left early the next morning. Within a couple hours, the snow had hit. It obliterated the trail ahead of us, and Keith was sick. So we made some wrong turns. Anyway, we made it to Conundrum 10 hours later. We pitched the tent in the dark and got in, and we crawled in. I lay there terrified because I swore to God the snow was going to collapse the tent and suffocate us. We were going to die on this mountain. Anyway, I woke up the next morning and I walked out, and it was a beautiful, sunny morning. It was gorgeous, but it was not 2 feet of snow on the ground. There was like 3 feet of snow on the ground. So I went back in to tell Keith, come on, let's go. And I looked at him, and just for a second, I thought, holy shit, Keith is dead. And then my next thought, and I can't help what I think, and it was, how am I going to carry this sorry-ass body down this mountain? However, he did open his eyes and got up and went over to the hot springs and took off all his clothes and got in. Okay, now I don't get naked that easily, and especially with a guy whose last girlfriend was 26 years old. However, I had hiked 9 miles in a snowstorm, and I'm getting the fuck in there. So I did, and another yes in my column. But anyway, after a couple of minutes, I looked up, the sun was gone, there were those clouds. And I said, Keith, get the hell out of here. We gotta hustle down. We got 9 miles to go. Keith refused. And so I think he waited like a half an hour or something. And I finally, I packed up, and we finally headed down what I thought was the trail, because, it was covered. So it snowed even harder this day than it did the day before, and Keith was really sick. I started to get a little worried. And then I thought about my kids maybe growing up without a mother. And if, they may hate me because I had made a really dumbass decision for a guy. Anyway, so then I thought, wait a minute, I'm a long-distance runner at altitude. And I teach Kundalini yoga. If anyone was going to die on this mountain, it wasn't going to be me. That's when I saw the sign, trailhead 1 mile. So I ran down, dumped my backpack by his truck, ran back up, and there he was lying spread-eagled on a boulder, eyes closed, and I thought, holy shit, Keith is dead. But this time, I thought, well, it's only a mile down. I can do that. Anyway, he did wake up, and I shouldered his backpack, and we went down, drove to Basalt, got a motel. Later that night, he's newly revived. He says something like, "What a great adventure that was. I can't believe I blazed the trail in a snowstorm while being sick. I can't wait to tell this story." And I said, "Well, that's a different perspective." But he did help with the trail, and maybe he's just Mr. Positivity, and I'm a curmudgeon and very judgy. So I thought, I'm going to be different. I'm going to be a different person, and I'm going to try and think differently and look at world differently. So I spent the next 6 years trying to believe everything Keith told me, despite the red flags that kept popping up, until I couldn't anymore. So after we broke up, I decided I am never saying yes to anything again. I'm only listening to me. But then I thought, Conundrum was kind of a great adventure, and it makes a great story. And you know what? I'm pretty sure I saved Keith's life. So when I say, sometimes I ask myself, would I say yes to that again? And I think hard, and I say, no. Thank you.